2,000 years ago, a lie was planted in human history. What you're about to discover about the ascension of Christ will shake everything you thought you knew about faith, power, and the true purpose of your existence. In the next few minutes, you'll gain access to revelations that have remained hidden for centuries, secrets that can transform not only your spiritual understanding but literally change the course of your life. If you can watch it until the end, you'll never be the same. But before revealing these ancient secrets, I need to make sure you're truly prepared for this transformation. If you feel guided to this video, if something inside you recognizes that this message is for you, then hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel, because in the coming days I'll be sharing the practical methods Jesus taught in secret during the lost 40 days. Knowledge that will only be revealed to those who demonstrate their readiness to awaken their true spiritual power. Now let's get to the revelations that changed my life forever. Why 40 days? Why did Jesus remain on earth for exactly 40 days after his resurrection before ascending to heaven? And even more intriguing, why are the Gospels deliberately vague about what he did during this period? The answer goes beyond any teaching you've ever heard from the pulpit. What we've uncovered in recent decades through apocryphal texts, archaeological discoveries, and in-depth historical analysis reveals a truth so powerful it was kept secret for nearly 2 millennia. This isn't just the story of a physical ascension to heaven. It's the complete manual of human transformation, the secret code to awakening the divine power within you. Prepare for a journey that will challenge everything you believe to be true. For centuries, theologians and historians have focused on the crucifixion and resurrection, but the most transformative period of Christ's existence has been deliberately omitted from popular teaching. During these 40 days, Jesus wasn't just appearing to his disciples randomly. He was performing an unprecedented awakening of consciousness in human history. Think about it. The same men who fled in terror during the crucifixion, who hid for fear of the authorities, who doubted even the resurrection, suddenly became courageous spiritual revolutionaries capable of transforming the known world. What happened during these 40 days that caused such a radical change? The Gospels speak of appearances, but this word in the original Greek carries a much deeper meaning than simply to show oneself. The term used implies the revelation of mysteries, initiation into hidden knowledge. Jesus appeared to more than 500 people during this period, but not randomly. Each appearance was specific, targeted, with very clear purposes. To Mary Magdalene in the garden, to the 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus, to Peter by the sea, to Thomas with his doubts. Each encounter was a personalized training session, a customized initiation to awaken different aspects of Christ consciousness in each person. Luke mentions that Jesus gave infallible proofs for 40 days, speaking about the kingdom of God. But what kind of proofs were these? The Greek word for proof here is tekmerion, which means scientific demonstrations, experimental evidence. Jesus was teaching technologies of consciousness, practical methods for expanding human perception. And there is an Aramaic word that Jesus used 17 times during these 40 days. A word that can activate in you the same power that transformed fishermen into spiritual revolutionaries. This word is Maranatha, which means the Lord comes. But in a much deeper context, it refers to the awakening of the inner Christ, the activation of the divine consciousness that already exists within every human being. But the story gets even more extraordinary. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed that Jesus not only taught during these 40 days, but also initiated his disciples into specific practices that we today call technologies of consciousness. Practices that you can apply in exactly the same way. In the Nag Hammadi scrolls, discovered in 1945, we find detailed descriptions of 7 levels of spiritual initiation through which Jesus led his closest disciples. The first level was the awakening of perception, where disciples learned to see beyond physical appearances. The second level involved the purification of the energy centers, which we now understand as cleansing the chakras. On the third level, they were initiated into techniques of expanding consciousness through sacred breathing. The fourth level dealt with mastering emotions and thoughts, achieving states of profound inner peace. On the fifth level, they learned about the illusory nature of separation, experiencing unity with all creation. The sixth level involved the development of extrasensory abilities, such as healing, clairvoyance, and manifestation. And the seventh level was the complete realization of the Christ nature, total fusion with divine consciousness. Each of the 12 disciples was chosen because they represented a specific aspect of the human psyche that needed to be awakened. Peter represented raw faith that needed to be refined. John symbolized pure love that needed to be cultivated. Thomas was the rational mind that needed to be transcended. Judas represented the ego that must die for the divine to be born. It was no coincidence that Jesus chose precisely these men. Each was a fundamental piece in the process of demonstrating the complete transformation of human consciousness. The secret method of consciousness expansion used by Christ involved three fundamental elements. First, the reprogramming of limiting beliefs through paradoxical teachings that broke old mental patterns. Second, the activation of energy centers through specific breathing and meditation techniques. Third, the direct experience of unity through altered states of consciousness induced by the radiant presence of the resurrected Christ. But be careful. There is a price to pay for this knowledge. The early Christians knew this. That's why they kept these teachings away from the masses. When you awaken your inner power, your life is never the same. Relationships transform, priorities shift, and your perception of reality expands irreversibly. Not everyone is ready to pay this price. Most people prefer the safety of unconsciousness to the responsibility of awakening. During these 40 days, Jesus also taught about the multidimensional nature of reality. He showed his disciples that there are levels of existence beyond the physical, dimensions of consciousness that can be accessed through specific practices. This explains how he could appear in enclosed spaces, how his body could be touched but also disappear instantly, how he could be in multiple places at once. Modern neuroscience confirms what Jesus taught 2,000 years ago. Our brains have the ability to access states of expanded consciousness by activating dormant areas. Studies of Tibetan monks in deep meditation show changes in brainwaves that generate experiences of cosmic unity, prophetic visions, and extraordinary healing abilities. Jesus was teaching his disciples how to activate these same brain areas through techniques he mastered during his years of preparation in the desert. The word ascension in the original Aramaic means a rise in consciousness, not just a physical upward movement. Jesus was demonstrating the ultimate potential of human evolution, the next step for our species. And he made it clear that this was not his exclusive privilege, but the destiny of all humanity who chose to awaken. Prepare for the revelation that will change everything. The Ascension was not a one-off event 2,000 years ago. It was the first documented example of something you too can experience. Jesus did not ascend to heaven as a divine exception. He demonstrated the ultimate potential of awakened human consciousness. The Ascension was the final graduation in the course of spiritual transformation we are all destined to complete. When Jesus said, "Greater works than these shall they do," he was not speaking poetically. It was a literal promise. The science behind human transfiguration involves the activation of what mystics call the light body, a subtle energetic form that exists within every human being. This light body can be developed through specific practices until it reaches a level of vibration so high that it transcends the limitations of dense matter. Quantum physicists have discovered that all matter is energy vibrating at different frequencies. What we call physical reality is merely condensed energy, vibrating at low frequencies. When Jesus was transfigured on the mountain, when he rose again with a body that could be touched and also pass through walls, he was operating at higher energy frequencies. During the 40 days, he taught his disciples how to raise their own vibrational frequencies. The secret to multiplying personal power lies in understanding that we are multidimensional beings operating simultaneously on multiple levels of reality. Most people live identified only with the physical, using a microscopic fraction of their true potential. Jesus demonstrated how to access and utilize the higher levels of our divine nature. How can you activate the same process in your life? First, you must accept that you are much more than a physical body with a thinking mind. You are an eternal consciousness temporarily focused on a human experience. Second, you must begin cultivating states of expanded awareness through contemplative practices that raise your vibration. Third, you must align your actions with higher spiritual principles. living as if you were already the enlightened being you are destined to become. But there's something they never tell you about this process, something that can be dangerous if you don't know how to handle it. As your consciousness begins to awaken, you become more sensitive to the energies around you. You may begin to perceive other people's thoughts and emotions, have visions of the future, and experience phenomena that the rational mind cannot explain. Many people who begin this path without proper guidance end up confused, unbalanced, and even considered mentally unstable. This is why Jesus spent 40 days carefully preparing his disciples. He knew that awakening without preparation can be traumatic. The ego violently resists dissolution, creating all sorts of internal obstacles. Old fears emerge, sabotaging patterns are activated, and toxic relationships try to pull you back to your previous state of unconsciousness. For nearly 2,000 years, religious institutions kept you dependent on spiritual intermediaries. They told you needed priests, pastors, and gurus to access the divine. But Jesus made it clear, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The Ascension was proof that you don't need to wait until you die to access your divine power. You can begin to experience it here and now. Religious institutions suppressed Jesus' practical teachings because awakened people don't need intermediaries. People with direct access to the divine cannot be controlled by fear, guilt, or spiritual dependence. That's why Gnostic texts were burned, mystics were persecuted, and esoteric teachings were banned from the official Gospels. But times have changed. Humanity is undergoing a collective awakening. Millions of people around the world are having spontaneous spiritual experiences, questioning ancient dogmas, and seeking a direct connection with the sacred. You are part of this wave of awakening. It's no coincidence that this knowledge is reaching you right now. Here are the 3 precise steps to awakening your Christ consciousness. First, purify your energy field through physical, emotional, and mental cleansing practices, fasting, meditation, forgiveness, and gratitude. Second, raise your vibrational frequency through practices that expand consciousness, contemplative prayer, conscious breathing, creative visualization, and service to others. Third, integrate spiritual insights into your daily life, living as an awakened being in the everyday world. How do you know when you're on the right path? You'll begin to experience frequent synchronicities as if the universe were conspiring in your favor. Your dreams will become more vivid and prophetic. You'll develop heightened intuition, knowing things without knowing how. People and situations that no longer serve your growth will naturally move away. You'll feel drawn to advanced spiritual knowledge. Your presence will begin to have a positive effect on those around you. Signs that your transformation is underway include periods of emotional cleansing where old fears emerge to be released. You may experience periods of social isolation as your energy field recalibrates. Your perception of reality will gradually expand, seeing connections that were previously invisible. You will develop natural compassion for all beings, understanding that we are all aspects of the same universal consciousness. Why do 99% of people fail in this process? First, because they begin with the wrong motivations, seeking personal power rather than service to the evolution of consciousness. Second, because they abandon the path when they encounter the first internal resistance. Third, because they try to do everything alone instead of seeking guidance from those who have already walked this path. Fourth, because they fail to integrate spiritual insights into practical life, keeping spirituality separate from everyday life. The journey of awakening is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage to face your deepest shadows, discipline to maintain transformative practices, and discernment to distinguish between genuine experiences and ego illusions. But for those who persist, the rewards are extraordinary. You will discover who you truly are beyond all masks and false identities. You will access an inner power that can heal, manifest, inspire, and transform not only your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. This is the moment of truth. You can continue living as a spiritual slave, dependent on others for your connection to the divine, limited by the beliefs imposed on you since childhood. Or you can choose to activate the same power Jesus demonstrated 2,000 years ago, becoming a conscious channel for the expression of Christ consciousness in the world. The choice you make now will determine not only the remainder of this incarnation, but the course of your spiritual evolution for many lives to come. Jesus did not return to save us from our humanity. He returned to show us how to transcend our limited humanity and awaken our forgotten divinity. For 50 minutes, you had access to secrets that had remained hidden for millennia. Revelations that had been preserved by mystics, occultists, and initiates throughout the centuries, awaiting the right moment to be shared with those ready to receive them. Now you face the same choice the disciples faced in the 40 days after the resurrection. Remain in the comfort zone of ignorance, or take the quantum leap to your true spiritual identity. Information alone does not transform anyone. Knowledge without application is merely intellectual entertainment. What will make a difference in your life are the practices you implement starting today. Jesus did not ascend to impress us. He ascended to show us the way. The question is not whether you are capable of this transformation. The question is whether you will have the courage to begin. For the next 40 days, you will have a unique window of opportunity to begin your own journey of transformation. The veils between dimensions are thinner, cosmic energies are more favorable, and your soul is more receptive to higher influences. But this window will not remain open forever. If this message has awakened something within you, if you feel guided to this knowledge, if you recognize that you are ready to take the next step in your spiritual evolution, then your journey is just beginning. Because what you have just discovered is just the tip of the iceberg. Over the next 7 days, I will be sharing the complete practical method of consciousness activation that Jesus taught in the Lost 40 Days. The exact protocol that transformed fishermen into apostles, cowards into martyrs, ordinary humans into enlightened beings. But this advanced knowledge will be shared only with those who demonstrate their true readiness for transformation. Only with those who have understood that awakening Christ consciousness is not a spiritual hobby, but the fundamental purpose of human existence. If you are ready for this initiation, if you feel the call burning in your heart, if you recognize that your time to awaken has come, then we will meet again soon. Remember, the Ascension was not the end of Jesus' story. It was the beginning of yours. The resurrected Christ lives in every human being who chooses to awaken their divine nature. You are not here by chance. You did not encounter this knowledge by coincidence. You are part of a greater cosmic plan, an agent of planetary awakening, a bearer of Christ consciousness for this age of transformation. The seed has been planted. Now it is up to you to decide whether you will water it with consistent spiritual practices or let it die through neglect. The future of humanity depends on people like you who have the courage to awaken, to transcend, to become beacons of light in a world lost in the darkness of unconsciousness. May the light of the awakened Christ within you illuminate the path not only to your own liberation, but to the liberation of all beings. May your personal ascension contribute to the collective ascension of humanity. And may you never forget that you carry within you the same power that Jesus demonstrated 2,000 years ago. The power to transform, to heal, to manifest, to ascend. The power to become who you truly are, a divine being having a human experience, destined to awaken and elevate all creation through the expression of Christ consciousness. The journey is just beginning. The best is yet to come. If you feel that this knowledge has awakened something deep within you, if you recognize that you are ready for the advanced teachings that Jesus shared in secret, then confirm your readiness by clicking like now. And subscribe to the channel to receive the exclusive practices of the 40 days of transformation that I will begin revealing tomorrow. Only true seekers of Christ consciousness will have access to this sacred protocol. Welcome to your awakening.